Hey, what's going on, Brew Crew? Today we're going to be taking a look at Mango Cabana. Mango Cabana is a drafting and set collection game for 2 to 6 players. Let's take a look at how it plays, and then we'll come back up and I'll let you know what I think. Mango Cabana is played over 6 rounds. During each round, players will draft a fruit-themed act into their nightclub. Each club has a specific objective that will score bonus points, and each act will also score points based on the day that it's scheduled, along with any bonus points for meeting certain criteria. At the end of the 6 rounds, whichever club has made the most money is the winner. You'll start off by giving each player a playmat with each of the 4 days that an act can be scheduled. Then shuffle up the act cards and lay out 3 rows of 2 cards each for a total of 6 acts on display. Randomly deal out one of the club cards to each player, which they will then read aloud to the other players and place near their playmat. This will let them and other players know what type of acts they will be earning bonuses for, as well as using the number on the center of the card to determine the first player. If we look at these act cards, we can see a few different types of information. First, we can see the name of the act. So in this case, we have Sherry Dragon Fruit. We can also, in the top corner, see what type of act it is. In this case, this is a comedy act. There are 3 different types of acts in the game. There are comedy, music, and magician. On the bottom row of the cards, you can see how much will be earned based on the day that the act is scheduled. So if you schedule this one on a Friday, Sherry Dragon Fruit will earn you 3 points. If you schedule her on a Saturday, she'll earn you 5 points. And finally, with some of the cards, you will see a star up in the top corner. This means that this is a diva. Divas will lose you points at the end of the game, depending on how many of them you have scheduled. So each player will check their club and find out who has the lowest number, and that player will be the starting player. Then play goes around the table clockwise, and on your turn, you're going to choose a row from the display and hire one of the acts and discard the other. So, for example, I may decide to take Gary Mango and schedule him on one of my open days, and then Sherry Dragon Fruit would get discarded. The act that you hired will be placed above or below your playmat on whichever day you choose to schedule it, but it can't be moved later on. So once you've slotted it into a day, that's where it stays. Each day can have a maximum of 2 acts, and it's possible that some days may have no acts at all. Once you've placed your act on a day, then take coins from the supply based on the day that it was scheduled, and any bonus points if you have fulfilled that condition as well. So for example, this card says, if a comedy show is scheduled on the same day, then Jerry Mango will get you 3 bonus points. So right now, we do not have a comedy show scheduled on Friday with Jerry Mango. So at this point, we will not earn those points. However, if later on we get a comedy show say later on we get Benny Guava here, who is a comedian, then we can schedule them on the same day, and now we'll get those bonus 3 points, which again will come from the coin supply. So be sure to check any of your previously played cards to see if you gain or lose points based on the new state of the tableau. For simplicity's sake, we tend to just do all of our final scoring at the end of the game for the family variant rule set. Once all players have finished drafting 6 cards and adjusting their scores accordingly, then they will check to see if they have hired any divas. In this case, we've got a lot. We've got 5 stars for divas. If you've hired 2 or more divas, you are going to be losing points at the end of the game. So as you can see, you start to lose more and more points the more diva stars you collect. Then players will total up their coins, and the player with the most money wins. There's also a couple of variants included in the game that you may want to check out. First is a closed hand draft variant, in which rather than putting out a display of cards, each player will be dealt 7 cards, and each round players will simultaneously select a card from their hand and place it into a schedule slot. Then they'll pass that hand of cards clockwise to the next player. Scoring for this variant works the same way as the base family variant that I explained earlier. There is also a double blind variant where play is very similar to the closed hand draft variant, but instead we will play act cards face down during each round, and act cards will only be revealed and scored at the end of the game. And finally, there is the strategic variant, and in this variant, which can be used with either the open or closed draft variant, players will score only the cards played and only based on the state of the tableau as it stands at the time that the card is played. This means that you will not go back to add or lose points on cards once they are already in your tableau. We found that this creates some slightly more difficult decisions as to which cards to take. All right, so that's it for the rules and the variants for Mango Cabana. Let's head back up and I'll let you know what I think. So I was first taught this game at Origins and had a chance to chat with the developer and meet the designer, which was a really cool experience. The copy that I brought home to review is not a final copy of the game, so I won't be reviewing the cards or components here, as they'll likely be much higher quality after the crowdfunding campaign. Now, I'm going to start off by saying that this game is very light, which makes sense because it was designed to be played with kids. I did play this game with kids and adults and at different player counts. And I will say that I wouldn't recommend this game at 2. 3 players is okay, but I think 4 players is the way to go in my opinion. Just get more tension with that drafting. You do have some decisions to make in terms of what type of acts to draft and what day you will schedule them. We found that this seemed more impactful when playing the strategic variant in the game, where you will be scoring points based on the state of your tableau at the time you play the card. In the base rules, we found that we rarely had any trouble completing our bonuses, so those games tended to lack the kind of tension and pressure that we look for in a game. But for gaming with young kids or new gamers who may not want that kind of stress, then maybe the simpler variant would be the way to go. There's not a heck of a lot here that really breaks the mold, as it's a pretty straightforward game in terms of drafting and set collecting. I do think that this game does what it sets out to do, which is to provide a simple, easy to teach, and easy to learn game that can be played with anyone. Again, I would recommend starting out on the strategic variant, especially if you have any kind of gaming experience at all, or you might find that the game lacks teeth. So, that's Mango Cabana. Check it out, coming to Kickstarter soon, and until next time, let's get another round for the table.